Meet Brian Montgomery, a man who seems to have it all. His towering mansion, sleek cars, and designer suits are the picture of success. But behind the lavish facade, his life is in turmoil. Brian's company, once a symbol of power and prestige, is teetering on the edge of collapse. Sales are plummeting, investors are losing faith, and tomorrow night, the stakes couldn't be higher. The most important business dinner of his career is just hours away, and there's one problem he can't ignore. He needs a fiancée to seal the deal. There's just one hitch. Brian doesn't have anyone to fill the role. Late at night, frustrated and desperate, Brian orders a pizza, hoping a quick distraction will clear his mind. When the doorbell rings, it's not just any delivery person standing at his doorstep. Alyssa Carter, a spirited young woman with a tired but genuine smile, hands over the pizza. She's a Domino's delivery driver juggling financial woes, overdue rent, and dreams she can barely afford to dream. Her sharp wit and confident demeanor catch Brian off guard. Used to people catering to his every whim, he's intrigued by her unfiltered honesty. And then, an absurd but brilliant idea strikes him. Brian stops her before she leaves and makes a proposal so outrageous that it could only come from desperation. He offers Alyssa a job, to be his fiancée for one night. The money he promises could change her life. And though she's skeptical, Alyssa can't ignore the chance to ease her financial struggles. With a deep breath and a leap of faith, she agrees, stepping into a world of luxury and pretense that's worlds apart from her own. The next morning, Alyssa finds herself in unfamiliar territory, a sprawling mansion with marble floors and sparkling chandeliers, a world far removed from the fast-paced grind of pizza deliveries. Brian's housekeeper, Clara, is waiting, armed with designer dresses, elegant shoes, and enough makeup to rival a department store. Clara is determined to turn Alyssa into the perfect fiancée. But Alyssa, with her sharp tongue and unyielding personality, isn't about to be molded without resistance. "Do I really have to wear this?" Alyssa mutters, staring at a gown that looks more like a museum exhibit than clothing. Clara sighs but remains professional. "If you want to survive tonight, yes." Alyssa rolls her eyes but begrudgingly complies. Despite her frustration with the process, she begins to see how different Brian's world is. Polished, calculated, and devoid of the grit she's used to. That evening, the transformation is complete. Alyssa descends the grand staircase in a stunning dress, her usual sarcasm hidden behind an air of elegance. Brian, waiting by the fireplace, looks up and pauses. "This will work," he says, his tone detached, but his eyes linger just a little too long. Alyssa smirks, firing back, "Glad I pass inspection." At the business dinner, the atmosphere is tense. Investors and executives are seated at a long table adorned with crystal glasses and pristine floral arrangements. Brian introduces Alyssa with confidence, and as they mingle with the guests, Alyssa quickly realizes she's in over her head. But instead of shrinking away, she leans on her natural charm and wit. When asked about her future plans, she replies with disarming honesty, "Well, I'm in the business of making deliveries, but I'm planning to start my own soon." Her candor catches the room off guard, earning a few laughs and nods of approval. Even Brian can't help but smirk. However, not everyone is impressed. Peter Harrow, Brian's sharp-eyed rival, watches Alyssa like a hawk, searching for cracks in her story. His probing questions put her on edge, but Brian steps in with effortless charm, steering the conversation back to safer ground. As the evening unfolds, something unexpected happens. Brian, who usually keeps people at arm's length, finds himself drawn to Alyssa's unfiltered nature. She's unlike anyone he's ever met, fearless, grounded, and unapologetically herself. Meanwhile, Alyssa starts to see glimpses of a different side of Brian. Beneath his arrogant exterior lies a man burdened by pressure and loneliness. For the first time, the line between their fake relationship and real connection begins to blur. Just as things start to feel real between Brian and Alyssa, Peter Harrow, Brian's shrewd and conniving rival makes his move. Determined to expose their relationship as a sham, Peter launches a calculated attack. He bribes former employees of Brian's company and fabricates evidence that paints their engagement as a desperate ploy to save face. A rumor surfaces, claiming Alyssa is nothing more than a hired actress, and Peter ensures it reaches the ears of investors. The whispers grow louder, threatening everything Brian has worked to rebuild. Inside Brian's mansion, tension is at an all-time high. Alyssa confronts Brian, demanding to know what's being done about Peter's accusations. But instead of confiding in her, Brian lashes out, his frustration boiling over. "This isn't about us, Alyssa. It's about the company, and right now I don't have time for anything else." His cold words sting, and Alyssa, who has stood by him through everything, feels the weight of his dismissal. Angry and heartbroken, Alyssa doesn't hold back. "You think your company is the only thing that matters? Maybe you deserve to lose everything, Brian, because you don't know how to value what you have." The argument escalates, both saying things they'll later regret. Finally, Alyssa makes the decision to leave. She packs her things and walks out of the mansion, slamming the door on the life she never thought she'd become part of. For Brian, her departure is a wake-up call. Alone in his massive, empty mansion, he finds himself surrounded by reminders of Alyssa, the warmth of her laughter, her courage, her ability to cut through his guarded exterior. He realizes she wasn't just playing a role. She had become an integral part of his life. For the first time, Brian acknowledges the truth he's been too proud to admit. He's in love with her. Sitting in his study, Brian stares at his phone, debating whether to call her. Apologies don't come easily to him, but he knows he can't let her slip away. He decides it's time to put everything on the line, not for his business, not for appearances, but for Alyssa. With newfound resolve, Brian makes a plan to win her back, knowing this time, it's all or nothing. Brian can't take it anymore. Days after Alyssa leaves, he drives to her small apartment, his heart racing. He's never been the type to chase anyone, let alone admit his faults. But this time, he knows he has to. When Alyssa opens the door, her surprise quickly turns to guarded suspicion. "What are you doing here, Brian?" she asks, arms crossed. Taking a deep breath, Brian does something he's never done. He apologizes. He admits he was wrong, that he let his pride and fear get in the way of something real. "I don't care about appearances, about Peter, or even my company right now," he says, his voice steady but vulnerable. "I care about you, Alyssa. You've shown me what I've been missing, and I can't lose you." Alyssa, though hesitant, sees something in Brian she hasn't seen before. Sincerity. Slowly, she lets her walls down and agrees to give him another chance. But only if they do things on her terms. Honestly, without pretense. The next challenge is Peter. His schemes are still in play, threatening to unravel everything. But now, Brian and Alyssa are united. Together, they hold a press conference to expose Peter's lies. Alyssa takes the stage with Brian by her side, her voice strong yet emotional. "Our story may have started unconventionally, but what we've built together is real," she tells the crowd. "Love isn't about appearances or plans. It's about finding someone who sees you for who you truly are." Her words silence the skeptics and even earn applause from the press and investors. Peter's manipulations are laid bare, and his credibility is destroyed. For the first time in weeks, Brian feels the weight lift from his shoulders. But he isn't done yet. Later that evening, Brian takes Alyssa to a secluded garden illuminated by soft lights. She's stunned by the beauty of the setting. A trail of candles leading to a small gazebo adorned with flowers. "What is this?" she asks, her voice barely above a whisper. Brian steps forward, holding her hands. "This is me being honest," he says. "I don't want to pretend anymore. Alyssa, you've changed my life in ways I never imagined. Will you marry me? For real this time?" Alyssa, overwhelmed with emotion, nods through tears. Yes, Brian, I'll marry you. The story concludes with their intimate wedding, a simple yet heartfelt ceremony surrounded by those closest to them. As Alyssa walks down the aisle, she reflects on their journey, from a business deal to a partnership built on trust and love. And as Brian takes her hand at the altar, he knows this is the beginning of something far greater than anything he's ever built. Together, they've turned an unlikely partnership into an unbreakable bond, proving that love often finds us in the most unexpected ways. If you enjoyed this story, don't forget to like this video and subscribe to our channel for more heartwarming tales. Your support helps us create more stories that touch your heart. Thank you for watching.